Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning.
And I'm Trinity French.
And we are your business coaches at Wired to Change.
With the number 2.
We help you get your business to the level you want it to be so you can enjoy the life of a small business owner.
And we have a very special guest back with us today. And I'm going to pose the question to you, Miss Sherri. What do you think makes the life of a small business owner so excellent?
Hang on a sec. Is that a proper intro for our guest?
We're going to go back to it, but
Okay.
I want to know. I want to know.
Then.
No, you can't edit this out. We're flying. We're flying by the seat of our pants.
Freedom.
Freedom. And what does that freedom mean to you?
Freedom that you have the time that you can manage and not somebody managing it for you.
Excellent. But don't take that freedom too soon.
Right.
Because if you do,
That's a whole other podcast.
you wind up coming to us too late. All right. So today we have a freedom episode. If I had a kilt on right now, it would be fantastic.
With your sunburned legs?
Yes, absolutely. But we have a very, very, very special guest, Sherri McManus, Everett, or Everett McManus.
Sure.
Sure.
Listen to our last podcast if you want that inside joke. She is part of the Lou Everett group with her husband, Lou Everett. And they are coaches, trainers, speakers, and they follow the John Maxwell method. I don't know if you call it the method or not, but it'll be that today. Yes. And you have a lot in common with myself, which is driving Mike a little nutty.
A little scary in here, but I'm learning.
But also super exciting. And I cannot wait for today's episode. Make sure that you have your volume all the way up because Sherri is going to be sharing some very special nuggets that she prepared. And if there's anything that I love me some good nuggets.
And prepared nuggets are even better.
Yes. With some dip.
She loves a method to the madness. Yes, she does. So.
But before we get going, so I've read quite a few of John Maxwell's books. I'm in no way an expert. I'm just a tip of the iceberg student. But what is your favorite book?
Well, let's see. My second Bible is the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth.
Ooh.
Yes.
I have not read that one.
It is amazing. It is great for personal development, but even as a business owner, and even if you're not a business owner, I highly, highly recommend that one. We've actually done multiple virtual masterminds because of it, and we just facilitate. We go through the chapter, we put the highlights, but then we ask the deep questions. And it's like, whoa, and these are hard hitting. And for some, it's like, I'm not going, some chapters in there, because they're all the laws. And some people are like, I'm not going to comment on it because it hits you home because they're not ready to kind of deal with it. And I'm like, okay, that's respectful. We'll just keep going. And that's okay. So it's really hard hitting. And every time that we've done a mastermind on it with different people in different groups, there's always something that comes out that is amazing. That's different than the last group. Just when I think I have my notes and I'm like, okay, well, this is what we did. And then come to find out, it's like, I threw them out because every group is so different. And they'll take something, a tidbit different than the last. And then you get to dissect that a little bit. And it's not about us. Again, it's about them and self-discovery.
It's how we hear it. I can see their words, but I heard it like, oh, okay. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. I bet sometimes you guys just look at each other and go, if we get paid to do this.
I know, yeah.
Just because
that's the passion about it.
Right, yeah, because the goosebumps that happen when that light comes on.
Yeah, it's the aha moment. It really is. And that's why it's my second Bible. I really love it. I really, ever since I got out of the hospital, and learned that book, really dissected it, and a few others too, but that one in particular, really, you can seriously spend 2 years on living it, that book. I put that in the forefront of my mind every time, and I follow, and the good thing about that particular book is that it gives you the law, it gives you what it's about, gives you the story, but then it gives you a plan. It's like, well, I know about awareness. Well, no, but how well are you doing it? And here's the plan. I mean, it's a blueprint. I mean, it can't be that much. It can't be that simple. But it's yeah. And it's a plan.
Yeah. God, I might as well leave.
There's your playbook.
That will be in my Amazon basket before we leave here today.
And then we'll come get you to autograph it.
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick, have the laws, has your favorite or the one you relate to the most changed since you started reading the book?
Sometimes, depending on where I am in my season and where I am with my leadership with it. But I do like the law of the mirror, which is a part of it is where comes the imposter syndrome, which is very kind of a buzzword at the moment, but it's been around. But now people are more aware and law of awareness. And it's just, again, you got to grow on purpose. You have to be intentional. You have to be aware. It's so dire.
That has popped up on social media. Now that you say that, I bet I've seen that 10 times in the last couple of weeks. All of a sudden, it just popped up. I don't know where it came from, but it's what social media does. Somebody hears it and it spreads. So.
Yep.
This is going to spread like wildfire today. And speaking of wildfire, share this podcast with your family and friends.
Exactly. Like and share.
Yes. Come on now. Everybody should be listening to us.
Yes.
All right. But back to my next question. Sure. So outside of the John Maxwell realm, what's your favorite personal development or business book? Or it could be an audio, it could be a podcast outside of John Maxwell.
Oh, Simon Sinek. Yeah. I think he's got the two. He's got your Find Your Why. And then he's got this newest one, the newest book that he's got, the Infinite Game, I think it's called. Sorry if I misquote that, but yeah, that is amazing. Good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you read 2 books at one time like Trinity can?
No, I have to read one book at a time. The one I'm finishing up is actually The Leader's Greatest Return by John Maxwell. So,
how many books are there of his?
Oh, there's tons.
Tons.
Yeah,
And did
tons and tons.
Did he write them all or?
Nope, they're all him.
Okay.
And he has already a new one already done.
Is there somebody he works with that's a writer before he got to this point? Or
He does have a publicist and all behind the scenes to
Right.
tweak it.
But he writes
But
the
he writes
book.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for him.
It's good stuff.
I know. I'm supposed to be writing a book.
Smoking cigarettes, sitting on some porch in New York City.
Yes.
The writer that could have been.
The writer that should have been.
Yeah. We talk about where we
And
thought
it's
we were
not
going to be.
It's not too late.
You can always do a book.
I still see you and Scott in New York City.
Really? I'm going to get just a little loft. It's just, a little hideaway in the city where I can just go and listen to the sounds.
Let me
listen to
break
the
this
horns
down.
honking.
Yeah.
So you can sit. I'm done. That's all I need to say. You can.
If I'm creating, I can sit for quite a long time.
But we're talking years as a writer. So you'd have to sit for a year, half a year, write a book, a good book.
But there's new ways that you can get around that. I can tell the story and have it transcribed, which will get me through it much faster than and I'm much better orally sometimes than written. So that would be the way that I would get around that.
And you know where she would do that? At the beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wherever works.
But you know what? It's,
Like
it's
I
on the
said,
bucket list.
you can't sit on a porch in New York for that long. That's just not you. You're not wired that way.
You know what I'm wired to?
Change.
That's
getting edited out.
No. Okay. So what about your favorite sales philosophy? Because John Maxwell to me is more about leadership but do you have a favorite sales philosophy?
It's people first. Because if you focus on the people, the rest will come. And I've lived that ever since I've really dove into this part of my life than previous, because I was all about the money, or I got to get that next sale, whatever it was, and then you slight your people.
Right.
I'm not saying it's always, but if you find successful people, the most fulfilled people are the ones that are people first, and you have nothing in return, and it just will come that way. And you want to create raving fans. You want to create that customer service, and you want to do the over expectations of someone. And that's a part of the DNA in John Maxwell, is the fact that you show up to play, but you want to blow people's minds, basically, in a good way.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And really step it up a notch because you want to. It's coming from a genuine place, not because you have to.
Right.
And the rest will come.
Excellent.
Can you get to the 6 things? I want to see if I've done 2 of them. It's killing me. I can see it written over there. It's killing
I'm
me.
going through my
going
other
over a list.
So I know that we are going to get deep in the weeds of this. So I wanted to make
32
sure
more minutes,
in 32
so
more
get
minutes,
going.
I wanted to make sure that I had my other questions answered first, so we have plenty of time.
Rush
But yes.
perfection.
Do what?
Don't rush perfection.
So before we dive into the 6 things that a leader should do every day, because Mike is just sitting
I know,
here
he's
wondering,
antsy.
He's like, do I do any of these things?
I just want to get to 3. I just want to get to 3. So.
But before we do that, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is the difference between training, mentoring, coaching, consulting, because as coaches, we tend to be thrown in kind of a giant barrel of what does this encompass? And it's often good to know what people do versus what they don't do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, because a lot of people, when they say coaches, right? And I when I was beginning in networking, I was like,
Cha-ching,
you're
yeah.
a coach. and it's like, or when I said motivation speaker, they're like, they lumped me into this weird pit too. And it's like, oh, you guys are motivational speakers. I'm like, yeah, but not really. Like, you know what I mean? That's a part of it. So, of course, we had to work on our brand, and especially in the beginning when you're networking. So we found out, and plus in our research, and plus in what we, narrowing it down, that there's a difference between a trainer, a mentor, a counselor, and a coach. And there needs to be an education about it, right? And as a coach, you just get lumped in. You're like, oh, you're a coach. You're like, no, I'm not some, like
One of the first things that we do when we are meeting with our clients is to explain to them the difference between a coach, a consultant, and what's my third one? Coach, consultant, counselor.
Yeah.
counselor. Yes.
Because we are not counselors. We are very adamant to let people know that we're not fixing your past problems. That's what you go to therapy for.
Exactly. So I cross off that one because that's
Yes.
exactly what my definition is. Yeah.
Perfect.
Someone that's leading you in almost like an education standpoint, or you have the psychiatrist, when they have all those fancy letters after their name.
Yep.
That's great.
That is
not
awesome.
us.
I honestly think that everybody should see a therapist.
Yes.
I think that the world would be a much better place, but we are not therapists.
Right.
We are not counselors. We are not registered to do any of that stuff. And even though I love getting in people's heads and getting through their head junk, we do it from a coaching perspective of moving them forward, not dissecting and going through the past.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Just preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Getting so fired up over here.
If there's one word to explain what you and Lou do, and by the way, does Lou say with my wife Sherri, we are the Lou Everett group, like you say with my husband, we're the Lou Everett group?
Yeah, he does.
Does he? He should. He should.
He does.
If there's one word to describe what you guys do, or who or what you do, is there? Can you do it? Does it matter?
Empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Empower
thinking
others.
ours is transformation.
We had that too. Transforming lives was our original tagline, and then to really narrow it down, we figured transforming leaders, today's leaders, is what our tagline is. Yeah,
I like it.
I
Such
knew
a good
you would when I
tagline.
read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrote it down so you could say it twice.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. See, it's right underneath there. Yeah.
Hey,
So real quick, just make sure we know what a
that
mentor and a-
something is good when you say it, but then you also say it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like, ooh.
You were going to say you had one more thought off.
No,
that.
I just wanted to make sure that the audience knows too that there's a difference between a mentor and a trainer as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's some lines that are blurred.
Unpack that for us.
Yeah, there's some lines that are blurred, and we didn't know that until talking to some people that were in this industry around this area. And I'm like, that's not what a mentor does, or that's not what a coach. So the trainer is when a person is sharing information to you, plain and simple. That's a trainer. Now, the mentor is when a person is sharing their experience with you, that have been in the same industry, same situation, but then they're ahead of you. That's what a true mentor is.
Yep.
And that's where that comes in. And then we already talked about the coach and the counselor a bit, because there's some blurry lines when it comes to mentor. Like, oh yeah, I meet with them, and I'm like, that's not a mentor. Or like, they're my coach, and then they're really mentoring. Now, not to say that you can't flip flop their hats, but you have to make sure. I know for our clients, and we call them partners for our clients because we're going on that journey with them, is that when we are coaching, that when we can't quite get past the weeds, even though we want to lead them to where their answer is, then we flip the hat and be like, hey, may I step in as the mentor for a second?
Right.
Because they just can't get it. And they're like, yeah, sure. But you have to give permission. And I guess that's part of our philosophy and part of our program, or if you want to call it that, method, is to make sure it's all about them and not your agenda.
Yes. And that's where, and I guess for me, we talk about it as consulting. And I feel like people come in to a coaching relationship with different levels of what they know. And we use a lot of tools in our coaching. We use a lot of Sandler tools. We use a lot of EOS tools. Now, I'm sure that I'm going to read a couple of John Maxwell books. That'll bleed into it. Yeah. So sometimes there is a level of training and consulting that comes about by imparting that knowledge and things that they didn't know. But from there, you are able to move into coaching, but you do have to ask for that permission, because otherwise it becomes I'm just telling you what to do, and no one's going to act on something unless it's their original idea.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
They might for a little bit. I was with my real estate agents that I coached for the longest time. I always said, I would rather pick a winning racehorse and help them race faster than find a horse and beat it around the track once and have it win.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a visual.
I like stories. Mike's over here looking at me awesome. Like, you weirdo.
No, I'm just trying to think what your husband Scott's thinking. Am I the winning racehorse, or am I the one she's beating the hell out of around the track?
He is a winner. And
he chose wisely.
I just help
here we go.
Him run a little bit faster.
Hey, Scott. He listens all the time. So.
He missed me, by the way. He missed me being on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he still listen?
Yeah, of course.
Was I serviceable?
Did. Of course he did.
Right. Well, I had good content, so yeah.
So now, without further ado, we are going to dive into the 6 things that a leader should do every day. And I am creating a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm writing down a checklist.
I just wrote down
now.
Numbers 1 and 2 if I could just get 2 in any
well,
order.
I'm going to see if there are any of these that I actually do and which ones I want to tackle first.
You two both do 7 out of 6. Curve busters. Good.
Take it away, Sherri.
Alrighty. So the 6 things that leaders should do every day, and once we go through these, it's actually going to spell out leader. So,
love it.
So the first one is learn. You have to learn every day. And that's something I gather you guys both are doing anyway. So that's a good thing. But you have to observe, read. I'm not a big reader, I'll be honest. I'm not. I got to force myself to read books. I mean, it could be, just for fun or something in our field.
I have found I'm a content consumer because I'll click on a link you guys have on a 2-page thing. I learned that way rather than sitting in Trinity just book after book after book. So I realized, because for a while I'm like, when we started this, I'm like, she's read more books than I've colored in. I've colored in a good bit, Yeah. But I learned those. Started looking back at that. It's like, well, I read every day, so now it's a content consumer. But but you have to though.
Right, and be intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all what we put in our mind, and all we can do what we put in our bodies. And as John says, we have to mental floss. Yeah. So yes. And I love that phrase. I crack up when the first time I heard that. And I'm like, mental floss. I'm like, yeah.
That's the book I read at the beach was totally mind candy. It did nothing for me other than gave me some pleasure and took up some space that I probably could have used better elsewhere.
But that's okay.
But it was great, and I binged that book.
Point in time.
That's okay.
You needed just to
to just
switch everything off and
switch
read
it
that,
off
yeah.
and read that really good Hunger Games book.
That's why I loved watching General Hospital every day. Same thing. Just you need a break. So, but go
I
ahead.
just need a break.
Yeah.
So what is his, and is this from John Maxwell?
It's actually a combination and also of my husband and I.
Okay,
So it's
great.
our own experience.
So
This
what
something
is
that-
your definition then of learning?
learning can be something that's going to push you forward or even stretch your current skills, stretch a different concept, just stretch, just get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just spent 11 days with my niece and nephew, and they are turning 5 and 3.
Nice.
Nice.
And Mike loves his grandson Oliver.
He was
And-
just here over the weekend.
And it is amazing to me. The reason I love these children so much is because they're like a little petri dish. How do you pronounce that word? Petri dish of learning, right?
They're sponges.
And they're
yeah.
sponges, and they're
Oh,
just.
yeah.
And I always thought, what would happen if I could learn at the rate that they learn at as an adult?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like they're just soaking it all up and they're parroting everything you say and they're picking up on all of your nuances. And it's kind of terrifying how quickly they're learning all of these things. But at what point, and this is a rhetorical question, at what point do we stop that level of learning?
Yeah.
And sometimes people just stop completely. And I think that is something that if you can harness and you can be a lifelong learner, then that's what separates people from the doers and the achievers versus the ones that just kind of, turn into the mushrooms, the toads.
Yeah, and my favorite kids that age, and we got Oliver some toys that you can squish together and build, right? And so he's building towers, right? And I love watching them. They're quiet. Their hands are going, their eyes are going. Just the mouth, the motions and things. You can see them kind of talking to themselves as they're doing all this. They don't say a word, but just the mouth and stuff. And just watching them learn.
Yeah.
It is
and all of a sudden,
amazing.
like, oh, look what I did. It's
Right.
like, oh, this is why this job is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And then we have to be childlike.
Yep.
We need to be that childlike learning. And it doesn't have to be from a book necessarily, but even
No.
learning from people.
I think
We
it's
have to
the to be fascinated with life.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's something that would be a good reminder kind of on the regular, just, hey, are you feeling fascinated today? Because if you're not, I saw this woman present, at a conference more years ago than I care to admit that I was at a conference. And she did an entire presentation on whether you're green and growing or ripe and rotting.
Nice.
And that phrase stuck with me because I wanted to be on that vine. I wanted to be green and growing. I never wanted to lose that fascination and wind up ripe and rotting. And I think that's where, being a learner is something. And have you ever taken the Strengths Finder assessment?
Yes.
What are your top 5? Do you remember?
No, I don't know offhand. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I'm curious if learners in your top 5.
Yeah, I can't think offhand. I don't know.
It's in my top 5.
All right, so I got the
Surprise,
first one. Let's
surprise.
get going.
Okay,
I do like to learn.
Learn. Number
I'm on a
2.
roll. Keep
I
going.
know,
Number
right?
2.
All right. Number 2 is experience every day. So pretty much what you just said. Experience every day. As you learn, you put into practice and the experience, the outcomes and the influences from others and from it. So it's the experience.
I had a wonderful one-to-one with Dr. Holly Sullinger yesterday for the first time.
Nice. Yeah, she's awesome.
I wrote stuff down. And I'm about to put number 2 in motion. I already sent her an email on it. About to put that in motion here next couple of days. So, but you're right though.
Yeah.
You gotta. Okay, so I'm 2 for 2. Sweet.
2 for 2. Got the experience.
So could that be? It could be a good experience or a bad experience. Just an experience.
Right.
Okay.
Just an experience.
Your hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even and I always say you got to fail forward.
Oh, that's one of Mike's favorite phrases.
yes.
I did that 2 weeks ago. I'm in Haley Gray has a Facebook group, Women's Entrepreneur Network, and I start every Tuesday. So this will come out. I will have done my 3rd show after this
Which,
episode
mind you,
comes
it's
out.
a women's group. So
Yeah.
how did you sneak in there?
She said it was okay for me because how am I going to get smarter hanging around guys? I'm not going to grow any, right?
I saw that. I'm like, what is Mike doing that?
Yeah.
I'm like, huh?
Who does he know?
Like,
So
Okay.
I've done Zoom and sharing a screen, but I've never done Zoom sharing a screen live on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I failed forward. Technology was horrible from that standpoint, but I got on and I got my presentation done. So I failed forward. I was happy about it. Yeah. It's frustrating to get there, but once I
as
got
long
on,
as you learn, you know.
once I got on live the second time after messing up the
You
first time.
learned, you had an experience, check.
And then
you
so
go.
and this
Two
is
for two.
Two for
yeah.
two.
So this is Thursday. So 2 days ago was my second show. Got on, not a glitch.
Good.
Yeah. So I was very pleased.
There you go.
At 59, I was very pleased.
Did you want a star?
Do
You
what?
want a pat in the back? Do
Oh,
you want
I
a
don't need
star?
that.
Oh.
No, I don't need that.
Oh, yeah, I would take that star all day long.
That was my accomplishment. So
Okay, so
That's
right
good.
now, 2 for 2.
Two for
This is
two.
this is awesome.
All right. So next one is
Oh,
apply.
I have a question about number 2.
Of course.
So, how would you make sure that you have an experience every day?
Be intentional of asking yourself who, like for me, who can I give value to today? Who can I influence? Who can I think the value add? And at the end of the day, reflect, which is part of my application, which is actually applies to the next one, is we can learn all we want. You have content all day long, but how are you going to apply that? How are you going to give that to others?
I know the answer to this question because I know both of you. This has happened to each of you because I know you well enough to say that. And Drago, too. I got a call from somebody the other day I've not talked to in 2-3 months. We know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they called and said, hey, I want to run this by you. It's like, nice.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've had, not that I'm, anything, but just to have that, to apply that, to be able to be a resource for somebody. Mm-hmm. And it was something I knew to talk about, something he needed, but just to get that every now and then, it's like, you know what? Because at Trinity all the time says, put it out there. Mm-hmm. Juju runs the world, and she
does.
That is confirmed more times in a day than I can keep counting.
Yeah.
I am just a firm believer in putting good juju out into the universe, and it comes back in spades.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
We're chomping at the bit.
chomping at here.
Number 3,
Okay,
which is
so
the
it's
letter
A,
A.
which is
Okay.
apply.
Apply.
Yeah. Apply every day. So take what you've learned, just what we were talking about, take what you've experienced, and then apply what you worked and made a difference in others. And that's where it is. Because you can learn all day long, but it's almost selfish to be like, well, sure, I learned, but then how are you going to share that? It's like wrapping a present, right? It's all beautiful. It's got the bow and everything. And then you never give it to that person because the bow wasn't quite right or something. And you're like, no. And then you never give it to them. So open it up. It's okay. Apply that. Give that out.
I like it. Okay, so apply every day. I would say I'm about 50-50 on that. Mm-hmm. Where are you at, Mike?
I'm trending up, honestly. Yeah, but it's taken a while.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes we do that. We just never have had that presented to us in that package or in that box. Like, well, I've helped people a lot. But are we applying? So, yeah, I'd go with you, too.
I think that this is one that is very eye-opening because I do a lot of learning and try to have as many experiences as possible. But I'm probably needing to work on the application piece quite a bit.
I would agree with you. Yeah. Because I know we both help.
And doing it
and
on
we
purpose.
enjoy that, but that's it.
And
right
I think,
there,
and going back to what you were saying about you can't just learn something once and then just let it go.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go take tennis lessons and then expect to pick up a tennis racket 10 years later and still be good at it.
Right.
Like you need to continuously apply the things that you know to keep sharp
Right.
and to get further skills in addition to whatever it is that you already have.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
yeah.
Apply.
All right, I'm
Apply.
2.5 for 3. I'm good
Yes.
with
I've got a 0.5er there.
that. Yep,
All
I'm
right.
with you.
Next one is under for the D's, develop yourself.
Wait, where's the R?
Lead.
Oh, leader. I'm thinking
Leader.
learn. Never mind.
Nope.
Okay, good.
He
See,
can't
that's
spell.
why people don't
He
put me
can't
in
spell,
charge.
that's
I
why.
went to Tennessee. Come on, what do you expect? Right? We spell SEC. That's as far as we could go. So, okay, develop.
Yep, develop yourself and others every day. So if you think about it, look at every step that we've done. It all compounds. It's all that layering aspect. And that's exactly what this is. Through the application for what you've learned and experienced, and continually find ways to develop yourself and those that you lead. So again, there's that grow on purpose, grow intentionally. People just assume that we're just going to grow, assume that we're just going to get all these magical, powers to be, when in actuality, some will seep in, but you have to nurture it. You have to keep growing.
Ooh, I just got this mental image of, someone that goes out and takes all these pictures at the beach, but then never goes into the dark room. So if you are having those experiences, but you're not developing them, then you're not able to look back on it. You're not able to learn from it.
Or even share with others, because that experience could help someone else. And you don't know what that will influence another person to be like, I really needed to hear that.
And a lot of that can be the application of that development of information. Instead of saying, let me tell you how to do that, you say, I think I can help you with that. Let me just show you one thing. Way different. Again, it's how you hear things. But the minute somebody goes, Sherri, stop, I'm going to tell you. It's like, no, you're not helping me.
Right. It's funny you say that. There's a quick story here. When we went to the international conference
in Florida.
We had our coaching mentor. We had our coaching coach, and he was doing his presentation. And now, mind you, we have 5 coaches, by the way, and that's okay. People are stuck with one coach, and I'm like, no, you could have more. So with he was on there, and we actually had these three or four balls of juggling balls, and he decided, he's like, okay, he's like, pair up. So of course my husband and I, we paired up, and he goes, one of you guys will do the juggling, and the other one is going to observe. I'm like, okay.
Ooh.
So my husband, he's just like, now mind you, he didn't give us any way how to juggle or anything, how, he's just like, here's your three balls, I think it was. And he's like, okay. So Lou's like, so we're, you're trying to juggle through it. And here I am like, no, you have to do this. Here, let me just show you. And I took the ball, and here I was trying to think I knew what I was doing. So this goes on for like a minute, and then we switch. And he does the same thing to me. And then our mentor was just like, okay. He's like, now, he goes, let me show you something. He's like, one of you guys pick each other. One has the balls. I'm like, okay. Now, ask the right questions as they're going through, going, okay, see that arc? What did you do in order to get there? Well, I did this. Okay, what did you do with your other hand? Well, my hand was up here. Oh. So so that's where coaching comes in, if that makes sense. You're not telling them what to do. You're guiding them through, and next thing you know, 90% of people was actually juggling.
That's so cool.
So it was a really eye-opening experience where that's what coaching is. That's where it's like you're that cheerleader, of course, but you're not telling them. You're just like, oh, you almost got it. Okay, what did you do that time that got that ball over to your other hand? Well, I did this or I did that. Okay, do it again.
We were at an event one day, and somebody asked Trinity, how would you explain coaching? And she basically said that we're pulling out the information that the individual knows about themselves. We're just, again, those questions, 3 questions, 4 questions. Yeah.
Because most people have done a lot of learning, and it's in there, or they have the ability to learn the skill. They just need, like you said, a little guidance.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So where Mike?
So
I'm taking 2 half points, so I'm 3 out of 4 because I'm better at developing than applying. If you can do that.
Okay.
I feel like I help people more because they come to me and ask questions. I'm not as good as applying what I know to them before they ask the question. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so feeling good.
Right.
Feeling way better than when we started.
All right. It's past 2, so that's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So are we ready for the next one?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So the next one is E, because that's how leader is spelled. Like, so.
Quit taunting me, okay? Just talk.
E, evaluate every day. Evaluate. So through your development, You must evaluate the real impact and effectiveness that your influences have on others and then make the adjustments as needed. So keep your ego aside.
So hard.
And you know what? We had Thursdays are my favorite day because we have client meetings in the morning, then B&I at noon, and we tape the show at 3. So I get all 3 things I want to do every day, right?
It's an awesome day.
But and I'm glad we got to this point on evaluate, because I look back when we meet with a client. I look back, what did we accomplish? I look back, can I pull out any nuggets for us that we told them? It's like, all right, dumbass, you ought to start doing that too. But it stops right there. I don't go the next step to evaluate. Is it how that applies to me or us, or what all am I evaluating? At the end of the day, when we work with a client and we make headway with them on things we could all do, you know? So how do I?
And I think that I'm like, man, I'm kind of suck at all of these except for learning and experience.
Should have stopped right there.
She's not a very good, yeah,
Me,
not
my
a very
friend
good
Lee.
leader over here. Evaluation is hard for me because I do like to think that I'm right about a lot of stuff. So being introspective and allowing myself to fail at things, it's hard. Mm-hmm. I could definitely improve on that.
And me too. And I'm a beast. Mm-hmm. When we finish with a client and I'm doing, because right now it's remote, so when we log off, I'm still sitting in my house by myself, which is fine. So when I'm done with that information, I look back, what did we gain today? What did the client gain today? Because we learn from Larice West, who is in Drago's B&I chapter, what 3 takeaways did you get from today? Yeah. And she laid that on us. So man, we are the procurement king and queen here. It's like, shit, that's good, you know? Yeah. So I do that, but evaluate, I don't think I go past that of how it was for them. No, I just talk about what we accomplished. Mm-hmm. I don't think I even asked that.
Well, and we really should be evaluating our performance as coaches. Did we stay in a position of asking questions? Did we cross the boundaries of consulting more than we should have? So I think that there is, even with my conversations with Scott, evaluating how am I speaking to him? Am I communicating with him properly? Are there areas that I could be doing better? Because we tend to be good, but if you do something and then you start to get kind of lazy.
And Trinity tells a good story early on when, I think it was before you guys got married, this conversation happened. She comes home 100 miles an hour on the phone because her day's not over. Mm. Yeah, we talked about this. We got an offer, but now I got to write it up and we got, we got to go through it. Stupid people are killing me on my momentum on this, so I got to straighten that out. And Scott one day finally said, basically, it had to do with you need to get off the phone or let me know when your day's over, just so he could approach you. And this led into the dinner conversation.
Yep.
Because he would say, what time do you want to eat dinner?
And I wouldn't respond.
Right.
Because I'm just in my zone.
Yeah.
And for him, he is hinging what he needs to do next on my needs. And I'm just thinking, I don't really give a shit. Like, as long as there's food at some point, or he knows that I get, then I get hangry.
Well,
he doesn't want
God, you don't want to see that shit.
You don't want to see me hangry. But we've gotten it down now where he'll ask me, hey, do you have a second? And then I'll be like, no. And then once I'm at a spot where I can, because I'm super high ADHD. So for me to switch my brain from one thing to another, takes me a long time to reset, and then I'm super frustrated. So we worked out a system now.
But Scott
and it helps because now I'm upstairs, so he'll come upstairs and he'll wait in the doorway.
Yeah. But Scott helped Trinity, and I give Scott credit for, because a lot of spouses won't ask this question. He turned to her one day and said, with every question I ask you, I need an answer. And that may sound simpler, like, duh, but he wasn't getting that, but it didn't matter to you. dinner for you could be at 7 or 8:15. It didn't matter.
Right.
Because you had an hour and 15 minutes worth of work to do. But to him in that role, it did. Whereas you have other roles where that time or that deadline matters. So, but I give him credit for saying, when I ask you a question, I need an answer.
Right.
It could be, don't care. Preferably don't do that. Give me a time. Give me yes or no, and we'll play that game. 7, no, that's a little late. How about 6:15? Oh, okay, that'll work. But just give me an answer. So I thought that was pretty cool when she shared that story one day.
Cool.
I listen.
We're always working on
Her
stuff.
and Drake are always amazed. Like,
working on stuff.
I listen. So.
You listen.
You are a
I
good
talk
listener,
a lot, but I listen.
Coach Mike.
Okay, so R.
So the last one is repeat.
Yeah, rinse and repeat.
Yep. Repeat the same each day. Learn, experience, apply, develop, evaluate, and repeat repeatedly every day.
When my workday is over tomorrow, actually, as we go through the day, I think I'm going to start this. I'm going to track this for a couple days, and I'm curious to see what I see. And I'm intrigued by this, which falls under the number 1 for learn and experience. Well, all of them. So, but just to write that down, because again, we've talked about this with clients all the time. Once you see it written down, it's like, holy cow.
That's true.
Did I do that? Oh, yeah.
And with our clients, we, speaking about that, and journaling is such a key thing that we give them as a gift, as being partners with us, is a actual journal. And it's very special, and it's something that we deliver to them. They don't have no idea. Well, now they might, but now they might.
Word gets out.
Yeah, and but it's just something special, and something that I learned that's like, what stands you out as a coach, or what stands you out as a business? What do you give to your clients? What do you know what I mean? It's just something special, right? And it's a genuine spot. So we do. So we decided to give a journal because we encourage journaling. Doesn't matter what you write in it. I mean, it does, but if it's emotional, or it's something with that manifestation of that writing. And if it's something angry or going through emotional, write it down and then rip it up and just like burn it, do whatever you want, and then go back. I mean, there's something cathartic with that. And on the actual journal, we say, hold your image. And it's something that we've learned through our mentors.
Keep
hold
talking.
Your image.
Hold your image.
Hold
say
your
that.
image.
All right, walk me through that.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Just hold your image. Just be you.
Okay.
So it's, for me coming in today with a blousey top and my hair and makeup done, that's me. That's my image. Versus, but if you came in as something that's just like a T-shirt hanging out, well, if that's you, that's you. Mm-hmm. But I haven't, that's my image. And that's what that's me. So it's just to be you, is hold your image.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I always wait for the title of the show to appear, and I think I've got a couple. If you focus on the people, the rest will come. I love that, because if you've ever run a business, you know how wonderful life is when you got the right batch of employees, the right team together, they're working with each other, and then when it sucks. Yeah. When you've either got the wrong people or not enough.
Right.
But it's all about the people. And it's like, if your people love what they're doing, your customers are going to be really happy.
Exactly. And that's why, as leaders, we need to keep pushing that. There's a huge leadership deficit right now, and it's been brewing for a while, and now things have come as they are. That's why I'm so passionate, and Lou and I, to join forces, so to speak, with other passionate people, and we have people in our network that are just as passionate. If it's not us, then go to someone else. I know someone. But you, as leaders, and if you're influencing other people, I don't care if you're a mom, dad, you're still influencing. We influence people unintentionally on average 10,000 times. 10,000 on average. Influence. We don't realize it.
No,
good, bad. Mm-hmm. So imagine if we could do that on purpose.
The problem today in politics / society is both sides of the aisle, RD, white, black, male, female, tall, short, it doesn't matter. 99% of the people are talking, and nobody's listening. Mm-hmm. They just want to talk. Again, we were laughing earlier about, well, what about you? Well, look what they did. Well, I'm asking about you, but I'm nowhere near as bad as them. And that's a problem. So when you've got a boss, and we talked about this with, who was it? It wasn't Sarah. I think it may have been Sarah. I hate when a boss says, Sherri, my door's open. Just come. My door's always open. I just put all the pressure on you.
Yeah.
Right? No, I should be walking into your office, putting my feet up on your desk. Right? How's your day going?
Yeah.
I heard you and Lou went to the beach last weekend.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? I love
Yeah.
that, you know. And then, like, what can we help you with? And, you know, but yeah, I learned early that, wait, I'm supposed to walk in, and no, dude, that's a setup. I just feel like I'm stepping in a rope and they're yanking up, I'll be hanging upside down. But nobody's listening.
Yeah.
There's so much good conversation to have, and hardly anybody is listening.
That's true.
And that's bad leadership all around.
It really is. There's a huge deficit. Huge. And that's why people like us need to have that awareness that, listen, you don't have to stop, start listening, stop hearing and start listening to your people, open your brain, open your mind, and you'll be surprised at how much of goodness that you have in yourself as a leader, because you don't know what you don't know. And we've heard that so many times. Some people, enjoy that. Some people are like, yeah. But if you really sit down and think about it, do you want to be better? I think most people do. Most people want to be better. But then there's that comfort zone. Then there's that weird, then there's all that. People like to be in that comfort zone. But, the greatness doesn't happen when you're in the comfort zone. It just doesn't. When there's just outside of that and that fear, and you go for that fear terrier barrier and go past it, that's when the magic happens. That's when you get to sit back and just be like, wow, I learned a lot from that. What was I so afraid of? Oh.
They want to develop on their terms. No, I'm good right here. What can I learn sitting right here?
Right.
You've already learned everything.
Yeah. And
sit over there for an hour. You'll learn, trust me.
Right.
Yeah. So.
If you think that you learn everything, that goes the phrase, like if you think that, you're the smartest person in the room, you got to move.
Yeah.
Move out. Like, you just can't.
Amen,
There's that
sister.
lid.
I'm learning to walk away from those people.
Yeah.
Because you
me
see them
too.
at networking events. We laugh about this all the time.
Those people are going in my left pocket.
Yeah. We'll tell you about
They're
that
going
too.
there with the Debbie Downers and the
Karens now.
naysayers and the Karens and
Yeah, I just can't.
God, I hope the name for men, stupid ass men, is not Mike. We have a friend of ours named Karen. My wife does from her family growing up, and she posts on Facebook about twice a month. I'm not that Karen.
Yeah. Like,
I
please,
feel
I'm
for
not.
him, so. Where's the best way they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach us. We are on LinkedIn. We are also on Facebook, so we're very active on both those platforms. And also too, just even from our website, the Lou Everett Group, or loueverettgroup.com. It's not but loueverettgroup.com. We also have an upcoming platform that's coming, an online program where it's going to be personal development and leadership. So that's going to be, it's actually www.m, actually M as in Mary, empowerment.training. So you have an opportunity to check out some free training, and then we have lots of other members. Actually, it's a subscription model that you can, but you don't have to. And there's also a ground floor if you want to become a founding member, or some goodies in that as well. So
awesome.
It's M as in Mary, empowerment.training.
And I'll get the blurb from you on that, and I'll put that on the website. And when we post these, we'll get that out there for everybody. So,
Well, this has been fun.
I am very pleased.
I know, right?
Super fun.
I collectively got more than 3, but it slowed down. I was good out of the blocks, but it's like then they turned into half and quarter points, but I'm still higher than 3. This is great. This is why we love doing this podcast, because we learn, and everybody listening is just nuggets. If everybody every time they met with somebody, they walked away, like Trinity said earlier, 1 nugget or 2 nuggets, man, we all be better for it. Because they're not going to remember the whole hour of this thing. They're not going to be able to apply everything. But if they got 1 or 2 things that their ears heard, love it. And they can follow us on all major podcast platforms.
We are out there.
We are.
We are out there.
Yep.
We are going to be so out there that you want to come and join us on this adventure, and you want to share us with the world.
Give us your good leadership story. You can go to our website. You can email us at info@wiredtochange.com. We'd love to hear your leadership thoughts on good and bad, what you know, what you've seen, what you've learned, and we will share those with us, and we'll share those with others. So we'll see everybody next time on our Wired to Change podcast.